Welcome to the Kelly Sullivan Walden Show, where we explore nighttime dreams, daytime desires, and the best ways to transform the tragic into magic. Because let's face it, we all dream, we all have our blessings, and we all have our challenges, myself included. And I don't want any of us to take any of those things lying down, if you know what I mean. I just wrote a book entitled A Crisis is a Terrible Thing to Waste. I'm excited to explore the topic with you, whether it relates to your waking or sleeping dreams, because we're dreaming all the time, people. So let's make it the best dream possible. I'm so glad you're here. Welcome. Welcome to the show today. I'm so excited because Am I excited because Georgina Cannon is here with me, but I'm also excited because we're going to be doing one of the things I love most in this world. I love multitasking when it works. I love to blend. I love the blend of modalities. I love it when all the things that I love come together in one place. It's kind of like a party where all my favorite people are here. And what Georgina Smith, oh my God, Georgina Cannon has done, she's written this book called Your Guide to Self-Discovery, and she's blended 20 different esoteric modalities, mind, body, spirit modalities into one book. She's brought in people, we'll talk about all of that, but first of all, Georgina, let me tell people who Georgina Cannon is. She is amazing. She's been on the show before. She teaches hypnosis at the University of Toronto and privately teaches past life regression and life between lives facilitation. In 1998, she opened the Ontario Hypnosis Centre, which grew to become Canada's largest hypnosis clinic and school. She's spent more than 24 years working as a counselor and coach. Her website is georginacannon.com. And in this book, she blends emotional intelligence, astrology, neurolinguistics, programming, birth order, creative superpowers, angel connections, Akashic Records, numerology, archetypes, family constellations, Enneagram, recurring dreams, hello, and auras. Did you leave anything out? I don't think so.
I don't think so.
How did you do it in one book? First, take us back a little bit to what gave you the inspiration to put such a book like this together?
I've always believed that we are made up of many parts. And in the last few years, I've come to realize that these many parts are mostly what other people have given us or told us we are. So whether it be our parents or society or our work, they've given us labels.
Mm-hmm.
And I woke up one morning and said, but we are more than that. We are more than what other people have given us. But how do we find out that there's more? Because we've come so used to being what we think we are. Okay, you're smart, you're stupid, you're kind, you're not kind, all of these things. We're all everything, right? Except that we don't know which pieces work for us and which pieces don't, and what else there is. So I thought, I wonder if I could do some investigation and find out some more about that. And I suddenly realized, why me? I'm not the expert in everything.
Kinda.
Why don't I talk to some experts? Why don't I find out how people find out more about themselves? So I thought of all the different modalities since time began, ancient times. You know, when tribal shamans were throwing stones and reading smoke and seeing signs everywhere, we've always wanted to know more about ourselves. And I thought, well, why don't I talk to some people who know about these ancient signs? That's where it started. So I started with some of the most ancient work, of course, which is angels and Akashic Records. And then, and all of that. And then I moved into more modern, like neuro-linguistic programming, creativity. What type of creative person are you? SWOT, which is strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and tests, and find out more. So we spun the whole gamut. So what I started doing is reaching out around the world with experts that I knew were available and had written books, because I wanted someone that could articulate what they did. Because as you know, not everybody who's good at what they do isn't necessarily articulate about it. They're just brilliant at what they do. So I wanted to find out people who could share and were willing to share their knowledge, their wisdom, their insight in a way that allowed the reader to discover themselves. And when you discover yourself at the end of each chapter, as you probably realize, there's a little questionnaire that says, what did you learn from this? What did you learn about yourself from this? And at the end of the book, I put it all together where there's a chapter that says, now introduce yourself to yourself. So, your new self, what did you find out about yourself? And I use myself an example. Hello, my name is Georgina Cannon. I've discovered I'm an 8. I've discovered this, I've discovered that. And I really did discover. The journey was exciting, but the culmination and the gathering of it was equally exciting, because I would say that everybody, and I mean everybody, that contributed is a very special human being. They are people who give to humanity in their own way, and they care about allowing people to discover who and how they are. So the energy within the book, as well as the knowledge within the book, is very strong.
Yeah, it is. I'm just
It's
going
a
to
long
name
answer to a short question. I'm sorry.
No, that was wonderful. You've got Kim Coughlin, Beryl Comar, Granddaughter Crow, Lisa Greenfield, Mary Ligon, Dr. Donna Marks, who's also been on the show, Leanne McClear, Crystal Pomeroy, who's been on the show, Maureen St. Germain as well, David Shepard, Paulette Sherman, Judy Wilkins Smith. She's one of my faves. I love her. She's been on the show.
Yes.
Naomi Tickle, Richard Webster, and me. I have the
you.
honor of being in this too.
Yeah. Okay.
So one thing I love. So this book is, I would say, it's for people who are new on the path, as well as for people who have been on the path forever.
Yes.
I've been on the path, I would say, consciously for about, God, 30 years, about 30 years. It's a long
Since
time.
the day
Yeah.
you were born, obviously.
I love you. But deliberately, I mean, I mark it from my first midlife, my first half-life, not even, I don't even know. My first crisis was when I started to work on myself and started to
Right.
get into spirituality. I was in my early 20s, and because I stayed on the planet by the grace of God, I felt like I was introduced to all manner of spirituality and psychotherapeutic tools and 12 steps and angels and crystals and shamans and past lives. Hypnotherapy. Ended up going down the hypnotherapy path as I became a hypnotherapist myself. And
It's magic, right, in itself.
yeah, it's such magic and all manner of therapy. And I feel like a book like this would have really been a wonderful guide for me back then, to just get my toes wet in all of these things, to answer a lot of basic questions as well as advanced questions. But even now, all these many years later, 30 years later, I think I know a thing or two. My area of expertise is more in the dreams aspect. But I know I've dabbled in all of these things: astrology and angels and numerology and inner child work and all of these things. But to hear a little bit from an expert in the field, it taught me all kinds of things. I learned all, like, the bells and whistles were going off the whole time. So I don't think this leaves anybody out. And it's so elegant. It's a tiny book. I mean, it's just like what, 178 pages.
I can't remember.
That's a miracle. It's like a bouillon cube of consciousness. So I'm curious, you said you're an 8. So let's just, that's my favorite number. That's not what I am numerologically, but what did you learn about the eight? So what's one thing that people can learn about themselves as it relates
Well,
to you personally?
I learned it from the numerology, but I also learned it from the hand reading because
Oh, the hand reading, right.
oh
That was
my
so
gosh,
fascinating.
she is brilliant, by the way.
Right. Yeah.
When I was speaking to her and I was on Zoom and I said, how do you read? And she works a lot with people in LA. Someone who works with the stars and
Yes.
film groups. So I said, how do you work on Zoom? She said, well, show me your hand. So I held my hand up, closer, closer, so closer, closer. Oh my goodness, you're resilient, she said. Yes, I am. And she was so exact and so right on. It blew me away. Now, from eights, I understand I'm a starter. I'm a bit of a pusher if you're not too careful.
A
Combine that
very
with
sweet pusher, but maybe a pusher nonetheless. Keep going.
combine that with my Aries Pisces on the cusp.
Oh, wow.
Yes. So it taught me to tread gently, more gently, be more aware of my ability to want it now, do it now, get it done now, make it happen now, that it didn't have to be now. It doesn't have to be now.
Isn't this interesting? I'm not an astrologer, but
Mhm.
I study human design. So when you do the next book, you'll have to include human design in the
Yes.
part two of your guide to self-discovery. But I think it's interesting to be an Aries Pisces cusp, because
Mhm.
that's like the baby of the astrological wheel and the elder next
Yes.
to each other. That is
I
such an interesting cusp to be the starter, like go, go, go. But then like, wait a minute, let's
wait a
take
minute.
a moment to drop into the depth. Ooh, that is an interesting
It
sign.
gives me the softness that I need. Thank goodness,
Oh, yeah.
But yes, it gives me the softness. It gives me the gratitude. It gives me the space to contemplate.
Mm.
Um, it teaches me a lot of lessons that I can pass on to my clients and my
Isn't that
students.
interesting?
Yeah.
Oh, I find that the cusps so interesting, especially that cusp because it's absolute opposites
Yes.
side by side. So thank God you have that because you would have this depth that might just sit all to yourself, or you just have all this get up and go with maybe nothing to say once the light was on, but you've
Yes.
got both. So that's wonderful. But let's talk about your area of expertise for a moment in past life regression and in between life,
Yeah.
the life between life. So for those who don't know you, I know you share in this some of your stories that are pretty amazing. How did you get into the past life regression, and how does that get for somebody who's new to you? Talk a little bit about past life regression.
I started off in life as a journalist in England. And as you know, in England, we take things like ghosts and spirits and fairies as a matter of fact. They just are.
Mm.
Go into your garden and you thank the fairies in the morning, and not out loud, but you do it anyway.
Yep.
And when I came to Canada, I continued being, I came to get married and married my partner there. And when I came to Canada, it was a different world, the journalism world at that time in 1966.
Mm.
And so I ended up becoming fashion editor of a magazine here. And that
Mm.
lasted for a couple of years, uh,
Might have seemed
until
like a couple
I
hours.
know it went like that, until the publisher got fired and everybody was replaced, including me. So I
Mm.
opened up my own PR company, and I opened up my PR company, and um, from there, it grew, and we had some fantastic clients, really beautiful people like Cartier and Chanel and Estee
Oh,
Lauder. Yeah, it was great.
wow.
for Canada. And then my company got bought by another large company, an international company called Burson Marsteller, and they brought me in as creative director. Now that was fun for a while, as they got me flying around the world, leading creative sessions for organizations around the world.
Wow.
And then I got promoted to managing director for Canada for 4 offices, which was very heady stuff in those days. It was very heady, huge salary and bonuses. But I was one of 3 women, senior women worldwide, and was very much dismissed and very much. I had a boss that literally went like this when I walked into his room. Yes, Georgina, what do you want? Now, my boss was in New York, right? I had to report into him quarterly with my figures, which we were making. And I just couldn't look myself in the mirror anymore. I just could not. And so I left and looked for something to do, took a year off and studied Reiki, studied color therapy, studied Gestalt therapy and psychodrama, which, by the way, I love and I still use in hypnosis. And happened upon hypnosis and got really excited because I realized from my journalistic training that the subconscious mind drives us.
Yes.
And I, yes, I literally did that. And within 2 months, I'd opened a clinic. And within 6 months, I'd opened a school.
My God.
And
Aries.
yeah, exactly. I had an assistant once who kept saying, Georgina, please slow down. We can't keep up with you. And I'd say, Mary, if you can't keep up with me, you don't belong here. I mean, that was my Aries part, right? Not my, I'm so sorry.
Not the sensitive Pisces.
That's right.
But that's
Today
okay.
it would be very different.
There's a time and place.
So, but 10 years ago, I had to sell it because I wasn't well. All the while, I was writing workshops, giving workshops, writing CDs. Of course, just like an Aries, you drive like 110 miles an hour. And now I focus on seeing clients just 2 days a week. I teach at the University of Toronto, School of Continuing Studies, and I teach my own classes and write books. So I'm slowing down a little bit.
Which for most people, this would be them at full tilt boogie. So when you take somebody into a past life,
Yes.
What might we discover? I know that one of the things that I heard you say, and I agree as a hypnotherapist, that it it's a memory and or blend of what comes to us intuitively, even our imagination speaking to us, which doesn't make it less legitimate. So say somebody's in a hypnotic state and you're guiding them back and they start to see things. What's your perspective on the images and perceptions and feelings that come to them?
My perspective, and I learned from the wonderful Henry Bolduc and Michael Newton, by the way. I took his last class, which was fantastic in England. My perspective on past lives is the soul takes us where we need to go. We can ask to go somewhere. We can ask to say, I get quite a few people coming in and saying, how come I always choose losers? How come, it must be a past life. And I always say to them, it's not necessarily a past life. It might be learned behavior in this life. But if you want to do a past life, we can do that. But I can't guarantee that's where the soul will take you.
Right.
Because the soul may take them to a series of lives where they were victims. And if they see themselves as a victim in this life, that's the lesson they needed to learn, so they don't become a victim in this life again and have to do it all over again. If you don't, if you don't learn the lesson, you have to do it again. That's my perspective.
Yeah. Oh, I love what you said. The soul takes us where it needs to go, or where we need to go.
Yes.
And I think that's true for across the board. I mean, with dreams as well.
Totally.
I teach dreamifesting as well. So we have a goal that we're working on, and we're asking our subconscious mind to sync up with us and to reveal a dream that will help us. And we might have a dream that seems to have absolutely nothing at all to do with our goal. And yet It absolutely does, because it takes us where we need to go so that we can be aligned to our highest and best self that may have something to do with who we need to be in order to manifest,
what we need,
womanifest, or dreamifest that
what
goal.
we need to learn, what we need to encourage, what we need to see.
Right. What we need to let go of, or what we need
Yeah,
to see, and we can't
yeah,
heal
yeah.
otherwise. But I also think it's interesting. I've led a number of past life regression sessions with clients as well as a hypnotherapist. And I find it's like opening up a door that is just got a big question mark on it, because we don't necessarily know
No,
if it's going to take us into a particular, but like it's not like you just press a button and you're back in 1700
no,
BC. And I mean, at some point we might be able to dial it in more specifically, but we always open it up to it seems like we go into a deeper realm of soul and what the soul wants us to know.
no question. But the thing that always throws me is when you're expecting people to become another human and you'll say, what are you wearing on your feet? And they say, I have no feet.
Right.
I'm just slithering towards this bird because I'm hungry.
So what's one of the most inspiring or exciting revelations that came to you through working with clients with past life regression
Oh, I've had
work?
many. I lost my migraines through past life regression.
Right. Oh my goodness. Let's
Yes,
talk about that, because I know there are a lot of people probably listening or watching this right now that also have debilitating headaches. I know one of my family members is one of those people. So let's talk about that, please. That's
it
amazing.
doesn't mean that everybody's migraine, as you know, wouldn't.
Correct.
Yeah.
We don't know, but it might.
Yes. So actually, it was when I was training, and the partner that I had facilitating said, do you have a goal in mind? Is there something you would like to ask the soul? So I said, well, I'd be interesting to know if I can find out what causes my migraines. So I went into hypnosis, and suddenly I had this stench, this awful smell, like rotting garbage. And I realized it was me. I was stinking. And I saw myself as this old woman with like one tooth and straggly hair and bent over, living in a cave outside of a small village in Europe somewhere. And I gathered herbs. That's what I did to save myself. But I was used by the women in the village to help give birth. So they'd call me down when they needed me. Otherwise, I was a pariah. They shut me out. They paid me with food if they remembered or they cared. So I was close to starving most of the time, which is another interesting side thing. I grew up
Mm.
very hungry and starving, and a lot of time. But the parallels in some of this is very extraordinary.
Oh,
So
wow.
so one day I was called down to help deliver this child, and the woman was in a field surrounded by other women, because women always helped women. And the baby was stuck. It was breech. It was huge. And the woman was bleeding. The baby was born dead. And the woman died of all the blood she'd lost. All the women disappeared and left me to bury her in the ground. So I had to dig the ground with my bare hands, bury her and the child, and cover it up. That was how primitive it was. I dragged myself up to my cave, fell fast asleep. I was exhausted and hungry, of course, near starvation. And next thing I know is I'm being kicked awake by this man who's obviously been drinking something and was drunk. And he accused me of killing his wife and his son. And he was kicking me. And then suddenly he picked up this huge boulder and smashed it on my head, right by the left side of my head, right here, where I used to get my migraines. And my facilitator did all the healing, as we do, the healing and the forgiveness and repair work. and brought me back. And we were both shocked and shaken, as you can imagine. And I haven't had a migraine since. No, not everybody is like that. But I mean, for instance, the person that became a snake, the sole lesson for that is you have to let go of your old skin to learn the new. You have to let go to grow. Yeah, interestingly, he was a medical doctor, so he had to.
That could you see? Oh, that is so interesting.
Yeah.
So I just find it interesting because this memory, this experience happened so long ago.
Mm.
I'm always wondering the why. I mean, it's part of what drives me, and the story that I make up about why couldn't that pain be left back then? Why did it have to carry into maybe all these lifetimes in the middle, and why now? I make up the story that perhaps there was this very vital energy that came from this being, this cave woman, cave dwelling midwife, that was actually precious and special, and in need of forgiveness, and also in need of honoring. And this pain was a way to be able to stay connected to her. And then once the connection was made on another level, on a more heart, body, mind, spirit level, then there was no more need
Right. For the pain.
For that. What do you make that mean? Why have that pain, and why have that go away just in the remembering of this experience?
Yeah. Discovering also the fact that I was training to be a healer at the time, right? Training to be a past life regression therapist. And she was a healer. She gathered these herbs. She ministered to the women. That's certainly a connection.
Yeah.
I find there's always a connection. But of course, as you know, we don't tell the client. The client always goes, oh, now I understand.
Exactly. Right. There's meant to be that insight in order to make the life here and now
Change.
more integrated, or have more awareness. This is so powerful, Georgina. So if you're just joining us, I'm talking to the amazing Georgina Cannon, and her newest book is Your Guide to Self-Discovery. Sneeze. Sneeze on the truth.
Bless you.
Whoa, that was lovely. I'll be exploding later today, thank you, but hopefully not while anyone is in earshot. But
That's good.
I know that you and I spoke earlier about a little guided experience that people could have right now. It's just a little taste of some of the work that you offer. We were talking about hands earlier with palm reading. This relates to something else. So, and I know with dreaming and lucid dreaming, the hands are such an important aspect and trigger for that. So our hands, I hand it over to you.
Hand it over to me. Okay, so close your eyes. And just begin to follow your breath. Noticing the coolness of the in-breath and the warmth of the out-breath. Notice the rhythm of your breath and how it connects to the rhythm of the planet, the ebb and flow of the tides, the waxing and waning of the moon, and the change of the seasons, all connected to the rhythm of life, the rhythm of your breath. I'm going to count from 1 to 10, and as I do, just follow the coolness of the in-breath and the warmth of the out-breath. Counting down now, 1, 2, 3, 4, drifting down, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And find yourself in a place where you feel safe. It could be inside or outside. It could be real or imagined. It's your safe place. And when you're there, find somewhere to sit. And as you sit, allow yourself to drift down, down, deeper down. Now, imagine your hands. Notice their shape and color. See them in your mind, or imagine that you see them in your mind. Think of all your hands have done for you and for others. As a child, holding something for the first time, maybe feeding yourself, washing or dressing yourself, tying your own shoes for the first time, and writing your name, the excitement of writing your name for the first time. Our hands are not just for ourselves, but for others also. Remember the work they've done, the tears they've wiped, the parcels they've carried, and how much gentleness, tenderness, and love they've given. There is energy and mystery in that awe of the hand of a man or woman we love. In the hands of a doctor, a nurse, an artist, a conductor. The healing hands of someone who cares. There's also a symbolic language of hands, the sign of the cross, the striking of the breast, the reaching for the Torah, the handshake, a wave, hello or goodbye. Just place your right hand on your heart and rest it there for a moment. And let it feel the beat from your heart. And lower your hand gently into your lap as if you were carrying your heart. Because you do. When you extend your hand to another, it's not just skin and bone. It is your heart. A handshake is a real heart transplant. Think of all that hands have done and made their imprint on you. Fingerprints and handprints are heart prints that can never be erased. Think of all the places and people who carry your handprint and all the handprints you carry. They're indelible and they last forever. And give grateful thanks. And as I count from 5 to 1, just bring yourself back to full awareness, being thankful and grateful for the hands in your life. Coming back now, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And slowly, gently bring yourself back.
That was beautiful, Georgina. What a journey in just a few minutes. There's such a synchronicity there, too. It's yesterday was one of my best friend's wedding anniversary, and I married her. I was the officiant, 25 years ago? And I was just remembering one of the readings that that was at we called on a dear friend, Jorge, to read this piece about hands. And everybody, and he has a Spanish accent, so he would say, "Your hands are so important. Your hands will carry you. Your hands." It was all about your hands will hold you, caress you. I mean, it was this, and I literally was remembering hearing Jorge just yesterday, hands, and like that just, and then I didn't know this is what we were going to do today. And I mean, I'm preparing for a workshop I'm teaching tomorrow, and I was all about the hands, just lucid dreaming and kind of awake as a way of being able to be a lucid liver, to be able to see those hands as a metaphor for, oh, yes, I'm dreaming. Let me be awake while I'm dreaming. So there's just this buzz I'm feeling. That was gorgeous. And your voice is such, I would follow you anywhere. I would follow you into a cave in olden times that
Don't
was
do that. Don't do that. No, 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 no.
okay. Well, I did. I followed you. I mean,
I
because I
know.
would follow you, but metaphorically speaking.
Yes, yeah.
But oh, Georgina Cannon, you're such a talented woman, and thank you for sharing the stage with all of us that are in here. And shout out to the amazing Deborah Jacobs for
Oh,
part and parcel of this
oh, Deborah,
energetically.
Deborah is my heart, my hand, my heart for sure. There are things that she does sometimes that make me cry. She's so kind.
Yeah, Deborah Jacobs she's a good one. Shout out to Dancing Word Group.
Yes.
Yay. I'm feeling so good that I don't even know how to finish this episode. So I'm gonna drift off and I'm gonna let everyone else, as long as you're not driving, operating heavy machinery. Oh yeah, don't do that. Don't do that for a while.
No.
But one more time, this book is Your Guide to Self-Discovery. It's out now. It's 20 Ways to Find the True You by Georgina Cannon, but she's got these collaborators,
Mhm.
co-contributors, Kim Coughlin, Beryl Comar, Grandmother Crow, Lisa Greenfield, Mary Lingen, Dr. Donna Marks, Leanne McClear, Crystal Pomeroy, Maureen St. Germain, David Shepard, Dr. Paulette Sherman, Dr. Judy Wilkins Smith, Naomi Tickle, Richard Webster, and moi, Kelly Sullivan Walden, aka Dr. Dream. If you want a guide to everything you need in the metaphysical world in one succinct little book, get this, Your Guide to Self Discovery, and it will absolutely make a difference whether you're brand new to the path or you think you know it all. I guarantee there's something in here for you as well. Any final words as we conclude
Yes,
this?
my role, I believe, and have done for many years, even before I did hypnosis, was to help people find their magnificence. And I believe that everyone in their soul knows who they are, except that it gets covered over with dust and noise of every day.
Right.
This book will help you uncover and discover your magnificence.
Yeah. Discover your magnificence. And I would just add the word unique, your unique magnificence, because you get to dial into the specificity of what your number is, what
Yeah,
your hand is saying, what your astrology is. So it's general if you want to just know more about metaphysics. And it's also very personal if you want to know
specific.
more
Yeah,
about you. And
yeah,
who doesn't, you
that's
know?
right.
Yeah. Know
The chapter on
thyself.
creativity actually blew me away as well, because there are four, I
Mm,
didn't know this, there are four different types of creativity. And I
right.
had no idea. I had no
And say what those four are,
Oh, when
just to
you could
wet the
ask me that,
whistle.
and I
Oh no,
can't.
you don't have to. You have to.
One is Dazzler, I know. One is
Dazzler.
Designer. I can't remember what the other two are, and Leanne will scold me for not remembering.
Ah. Okay, so there's four types.
Yes, we have the Designer,
Hmm.
it's Dazzler,
Yep. The driver,
the Driver, and
the definer.
Definer. Yes, and I forget what they are, except that most people are one or two. You can be both at once.
Right.
And she tells me I'm a Dazzler driver. Her husband is
Clearly.
also a Dazzler driver.
Oh, yeah.
And definer is someone that we all need, who defines what the issue is and the ways that it can happen. And the designer comes up with the solution and makes it happen. And the dazzler is the one that comes up with 1 trillion ideas. But as my financial person will tell me, Georgina, not every idea is a good idea, okay?
Sometimes it's just an idea.
That's right. It's just an idea. That's right. But that's a fascinating chapter in itself.
Oh, it is. It is. I think I'm with you. I think I'm a driver dazzler.
Yeah, probably.
I might be a little, I mean, we're all a little bit of each. The
Yes,
definer helps to find the right answers, identify things. The dazzler is about
Great.
is yeah, bringing like the creativity of it and
Yeah,
kind of the magic of it.
new, innovative, is more innovative, thinking up new
Yeah.
ways of discovering and making things happen.
Oh, the designer makes things workable. They might even be
Yes.
a little critical just to
Yeah.
get down to the brass
Yes.
tacks. And the driver's like, let's just do it.
Get it done.
I definitely have that. Oh my God, Leo, that I am. There we go. Fire sign. Ready, fire, aim.
Yes, but look what you do and look what you've done.
Oh,
And when you look at yourself from a distance and you say, this woman, look what she's done in spite of, or maybe because of.
Right. Ooh. Yeah, I like the in spite of and the because of.
Yes. And sometimes to light a fire, we need to rub 2 sticks together and make friction.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think sometimes it's the pain that drives us to go into the deep
Yes.
places that might just otherwise be too daunting or too
Yes.
scary. But that's where the gold is, that where we stumble, that's where we find our gold, according to
One
Joseph
of my
Campbell, Treasures.
one of my ex-clients a long time ago, a young man, wrote me a thank you poem, and one of the lines in it was thanking me. I forget his exact wording, was to find the diamonds beneath the coal. I thought that was so wonderful, and that's what you're talking about, to find the diamonds beneath the coal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, that's what it's all about. And I just so appreciate you taking some time on your book tour to stop and have a moment with me.
Well,
Georgina Cannon, this was wonderful. This is a wonderful book. I want everybody to go out and get many copies of this so that you can be generous and do the good karma thing, give it to your friends. And everybody needs to know all of these things to become better versions of ourselves. We can all be more awakened as we go throughout our world. And to know ourselves is to love ourselves, and to know each other is to love each other. So this book will help you do that. And Georgina Cannon's website is georginacannon.com. That's nice. Thank you so much, Georgina, for joining me.
Bless your wonderful heart. Thank you. You're a joy. Thank you.
Thank you. Sweet dreams.
Thank you for listening to the Kelly Sullivan Walden Show. If you enjoyed this episode, take a moment to like, subscribe, comment, and share it with your friends. My show can be found on Apple iTunes, YouTube, Google Play, Spotify, and wherever you get your podcasts. If you want to order my new book, A Crisis is a Terrible Thing to Waste, go to your favorite online or brick and mortar retailer, then head on over to kellysullivanwalden.com tragic2magic. Input your order number and redeem your bonus gifts. I'm also excited to be offering a DreamWork practitioner training. So if that calls to you, go to kellysullivanwalden.com/DreamWork. If you'd like to join me for the live recording of these shows, most Wednesdays at noon Pacific, you can find me on Facebook. If you have a question about your dreams or about how to transform your tragic into magic, email me at kelly@kellysullivanwalden.com. Until next time, remember, a crisis is a terrible thing to waste. And as you awaken to the power of your dreams, you make the world a lighter, brighter, more beautiful place, one dream at a time. Sweet dreams.